Yeah, I mean, I think it seems like a very sensible appointment for now. There's been a lot of unrest. I think the board are under a lot of pressure. So to bring a legend back, I mean, it's someone who's done well in his managerial career so far with Middlesbrough. Obviously, had a little caretaker spell with United, was an assistant on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So he knows what he's doing. I think it's a very sensible one. I really like his appointments as well of his staff. Brought some really good people, high-quality people in. So I think for now it's a really sensible decision.
Yeah, the consensus seems to be that he's sort of buying the club some time until the summer, and then it sounds like someone else will come in. But if he goes and does what Solskjaer did, and I don't know, wins 8 in a row, Solskjaer got the job full time. Will they feel duty-bound to give him the job?
I think they might. I think it's a good problem to have. If you win so many games and they get in the Champions League, then it's a good problem to have. So obviously they're doing well, and then decisions become a lot easier. Again, I think the worrying side, if it goes the other way and they don't do so well, then really which way do Man United go now? Because if they haven't had it right for quite some time. So you wish him all the very best. You want him to do well, and I think if he does, then I think United are in a much better position.
You have to say there's not been too many great decisions made by the Manchester United hierarchy. So the scrutiny is on them for how Michael Carrick does to the end of the season. And then the next decision that they make about the head coach has to be the right one. It really does for Manchester United to move forward. We know now that they want a manager to work under the structure, because that is the reason, essentially, why Ruben Amorim left. So they have to pick the right person to take Manchester United forward. Maybe Michael Carrick does fall into that category of being someone that is comfortable working within the structure. We hear from Gary Neville today that he's picking out Tuchel, he's picking out Mauricio Pochettino, those kinds of characters to be the next Manchester United manager. But would they be happy to work under the structure that Manchester United so clearly now have defined for themselves going forward?
What about the start that he has, Michael Carrick? Manchester City first up, then Arsenal. I think it was Roy Keane, wasn't it, saying that he thinks actually maybe that could even suit Carrick and United. Do you see it that way?
Well, I think if you're a manager or the coach of Man United, every game is massive. You're a huge club, maybe the biggest club in the world, and every game is going to be very important, a lot of scrutiny, a lot of people watching. But yeah, there's no game probably bigger than Man City. So it's one of them where you can look at them as a bit of a free hit. I think the pressure could be off. Everyone's expecting Man City to win quite easily and with a lot of comfort. But I think knowing Michael Carrick, and I think the way United are, they go into this game with, okay, let's prove a point here. Let's get off to a good start and see what we can do. Maybe surprise a few people.
The curious thing about this situation is that usually when a club changes manager, a team is struggling towards the bottom end of the table. Results have been extremely poor. But this situation is slightly different. He takes over a team that are 7th in the league and within touching distance of the top 4 and maybe top 5 Champions League places. So I don't think United can be going into this almost saying this is a free hit, pressure's off, whatever happens here happens, because the team was moving in the right direction. I know things didn't go well for Ruben Amorim in the Cups, but they were progressing. Their attack was much better than last season. They looked at times like they were a little bit too easy to play through, but things were moving in the right direction for United, particularly compared to last season. So this wasn't a club going backwards under Ruben Amorim. This was a club, you might argue, in stasis, but I think results would say they were moving forward, and their position in the table certainly suggested so. So that's an interesting one. And Man City and Arsenal first up is difficult, but then you also look at the clubs beyond that as well that will also provide difficult tests, particularly away from home for Michael Carrick.
What were the priorities for Carrick for this Manchester United side? Where do you see most improvement needed at getting them from contenders for top 4, top 5 to cementing Champions League football?
Yeah, I mean, I think firstly, he's got to get his style of play across. Is he going to play with the back 3? Is he going to play with the back 4? So I think that's important to really instill the fundamentals of what he wants the team to look like. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, it's about getting results. I think they've been fairly solid throughout the year. It's just getting the most out of those attacking players for me. How can you get more out of Cunha? How can you get more out of Šeško? How can you get more out of Mbeumo? And then, is Bruno Fernandes playing more of a number 10 role? Does he go back into that central midfield role? So he's got a few things to figure out and try and see how he can put a lot of these players in positions to succeed, not just to be comfortable and do okay. You want them to do really well. We know Bruno Fernandes can do a lot of good things for a team, so does he play a little bit higher? For me, I see him as more of a number 10. So these are the things he has to figure out. But as Dave says, I don't think the team is a million miles away from where they want to be. It's just about making sure they progress they continue to progress and push in the right direction.
And with Ahmad coming back and Mbeumo now coming back, how do you fit all, unless he goes to what Ruben Amorim does, it doesn't seem an obvious way to fit all of those attacking players in, Asmi. So what do you think he's going to do? Do you chuck the players that are returning back? But I think with those players returning, there's an expectation within the United fan base that there will be an excitement and attacking style of football for this game.
But I think, again, Dave, that's a really good problem to have. So he's got more players now, more players to choose from, quality players. And he's going to have to make some tough decisions. Not everyone can play. Figure out if Cunha's playing left wing, maybe Luke Shaw goes to left back. There's maybe no place for Dorgo. If Mbeumo plays on the right and Dalot plays at right fullback, we expect him to play this 4-3-3 that he's played for Middlesbrough. So then maybe there is no place for Ahmad. But then you have more impact off the bench. You have other players who can make a difference. So he's going to be he's the coach of Man United. So big decisions have to be made.